Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and today I want to talk about some books that I've bought here recently. There are a lot, so I'm going to try not to spend too much time on any of them. Some of them I bought at Barnes & Noble Annex, which for a little bit of a value, and some of them are newer releases. So super excited to share these with you. The first two books that I want to talk about are actually books that I talked about in my video 5 movies that I loved so much I had to buy the book, and I'll link that video below. The first one is Motherless Brooklyn, and Edward Norton created the screenplay and directed the motion picture for Motherless Brooklyn. This is actually fiction about a 1950s private investigator who's semi-involved in the mob, and his mentor, boss, gets killed, and so he is determined to find justice for the person who killed his mentor, best friend, played by Bruce Willis. Edward Norton's character also has Tourette's, which is an interesting little tic that's usually not captured on film, but I loved the movie, hope to love the book. Same here with Boy Erased. Joel Edgerton actually wrote the screenplay and directed this passion project. This is a memoir that was actually written by a man who in his youth, he grew up in a very conservative household in the South, a Baptist household in the South, and he was gay and he was closeted. And this is the story about what happened when he was outed when he was about 19 years old. I haven't read this yet, obviously, but I saw the movie and it's extremely compelling. It's such a good story, very well directed, very well acted with Nicole Kidman and Joel Edgerton and Russell Crowe. I would absolutely recommend it. I bought this because I love Hallmark movies, and this is Debbie Macomber, Any Dream Will Do, and it read like very Hallmark movie. A woman gets released from prison. She embezzled money from her employer, but she did it to save her brother. He said that his life was in danger, and she embezzled and she got caught. And of course her brother, who's addicted to drugs, disappears. She serves out her prison sentence, and when she gets out of prison, she has a chip on her shoulder for obvious reasons. She's grown up abused, so she doesn't have a really good emotional toolkit, and she just happens to wander into a church where the minister, who has recently lost his wife and he is a single father trying to raise his 2 children, deal with his grief, deal with their grief, minister the church, and he's struggling in his faith. And she walks in and she needs him, and he walks in and he needs her, and together they find the faith and the courage, and basically Hallmark. This is Lisa Gardner's Look for Me, and it's a couple of years old. I bought it because it sounded like a compelling story. It's a family that's gunned down, and their 16-year-old daughter is missing. She was out of the house when it happened, so 2 investigators have to find out what truly happened. I love stories where there are family secrets that they have to uncover to truly solve the mystery, and this sounded like one of those. I've not read Lisa Gardner before, so I'm really looking forward to it, and this is actually on my blog, a book that I'm reading this week. This book is Her One Mistake by Heidi Prince. I'm not familiar with Heidi Prince, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this one or not, but it sounded delicious. It's the story of 2 best friends, Charlotte and Harriet. Charlotte is watching her children as well as Harriet's daughter. Harriet's daughter is abducted. And again, there are family secrets they have to uncover. Can she trust the police? She has to trust Charlotte. It sounded really good and really kind of deep. And this is a relatively new release that just came out last year. I have Jayne and Krentz, Promise Not to Tell. This was released in 2018, so relatively new story, but this story is about a gallery owner whose mother years ago committed suicide. I'm sorry, her mother years ago died. A recent artist committed suicide, but she sent this gallery owner a painting, and it suggests that maybe there's more to this woman's mother's death than there was originally, so she has to delve into it and figure out what happened all of those years ago. It sounded pretty compelling. I haven't read Jane and Krentz in a long time, so it should be good to catch up with her. This is The Darkest Evening by Cleeves. I am not familiar with her at all. It's a relatively new release. It just came out this year. It's a Vera Stanhope novel, and I'm not familiar with Vera Stanhope, but I love detective series, and so I'm excited to see if this is a series in which I can become invested. Vera Stanhope becomes stranded in the snow. One evening she finds an abandoned car with a toddler in it. So they have to find the toddler, but she also has to survive the storm with the toddler first. It sounded pretty compelling. It sounded almost nail-biting. So I'm super excited to give this one a try. This is a new Hercule Poirot Agatha Christie mystery. It just came out in 2018, and so it was penned, Sophie Hannah penned it under Agatha Christie's name. I don't even know what it's about. I just bought it because new Agatha Christie Poirot, I'm in. I have never heard of Curtis Sittenfeld, and I can't even say his name without reading it. Never heard of Curtis Sittenfeld, but this is a collection of his short stories. You Think It, I'll Say It. It piqued my interest when I read the description. I usually don't read collections of short stories, but I'm excited to give this one a shot. I have been dying to read Mexican Gothic. I do understand Silvia Moreno-Garcia usually doesn't write I understand this is a horror, and she usually doesn't write horror. So I don't usually read horror, so this will be good. I just figure it's coming up on October. We're about to get into dark and stormy nights, and scariness is required. So I thought this would be a really good way to celebrate my October. Who does not love John Cleese? When I heard he was writing a short book, and this is a very short book, it's like 100 pages, but when I heard he had published a short book on creativity, I had to give it a whirl. He is tremendously funny, and I am not terribly creative, and so I thought that I would love to learn from his perspective. So I'm excited to give this one a shot. This is Anxious People. It is a new release, and I was very curious when I read about this. There are people in New York shopping for an apartment, so it's like an open house, so there are several people there, and an armed gunman runs in. He's trying to escape from the police, and he barricades in and holds these people hostage. And this is supposedly a character-driven novel. Each one of them in turn has their own stories, their own secrets, and it just sounded like a really compelling story for me. So I am excited to give this one a shot. I am not familiar with Fredrik Backman. I've not read a novel of his before, so I'll let you know how I feel about this one. This is actually one that I'm working on reading this week. This is a Karin Slaughter novel, Pieces of Her, and I'm about 100 pages in. It's a pretty cool story. This woman is celebrating her birthday. She's turning 31, and she's having breakfast, lunch with her mother, and a gunman comes in and starts killing people, and her mother, who's just been her mother her whole life, you know, just this 50-something-year-old woman, turns into like ninja lady. She disarms the gunman. She actually kills him, and then this woman has to go on the run and starts discovering all of these secrets about her mother's identity and her own identity. It sounded really compelling. It's reading pretty compelling. The only thing is I don't really like the heroine, but I think Karin Slaughter is going to develop her into someone who is strong in her own right, and I might like her as I get further in. This last book is actually The Secret Life of Groceries. It was just released here a couple of months ago. This is my job. When I work in the grocery industry, and so this is, what is it, the dark miracle of the American supermarket, and it talks about how we get groceries to the shelf. When I am in the industry, I am responsible for assortment and pricing and promotion and all of those things, and so it's always great to learn more and to grow. So I will let you know that if this is worth a kind of pedestrian, this is not my job read, or if this is just for people like me who are a little bit nerdy about groceries. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we made it all the way through. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I will be sure to let you know how much I love all of these books that I've read. For the ones that I've already completed, I'm gonna go ahead and link all of those in the description box below. I will also link the video that I made of the 5 movies. I say 5. The 5 movies that Loved so much I had to buy the book, of which Motherless Brooklyn and Boy Erased are two. Thanks so much for joining me. Let me know if there are any other books that you're thinking about buying that you'd like me to let you know my thoughts first in the comments. I'll catch you next time. Bye!